I want to excuse me. I didn't announce there is a change in the program. So most of you have seen it on a table because Dr. Stoliranov speak from Krasnoyarsk in the Russian Federation, speaking about hay fever, didn't come. So we moved it, and in the last part of our session, there will be Dr. Farrington. He's announced, was announced in the morning. He will speak about homeopathic treatment of farm animals at the last point. Now, I'm very glad to announce Dr. Athos Othonos from Greece. Dr. Othonos is the president of the Homeopathic Academy of Greece. Gradually, he lasts 32 years. He has developed a new method of classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy presented in 30 books. He teaches his method in English through the International E-Learning Project and through the Athens International Four Seasons School. Dr. Othonos.
Thank you. Greetings from sunny Greece to cold Vienna. And I will start my presentation focusing on two matters, 2 points, because in a short time you can't do anything more. But you can read more about the method on the website homeomed.gr. Homeo, as in homeopathy, med, as in medicine, homeomed.gr. Is it okay? I want the help from the audience. I want someone of you to describe a beloved person, someone close to you. Please, volunteers. Anyone? To describe a person close to him? So, if we don't have a volunteer, I will describe a close person to me. So, my small daughter is 18 now, and she has this style of hair. She is the a little bit reactive type of as being young. She has this kind of hair, she has this kind of eyes, and she is always a little bit laughing, but she is very introvert most of the times. And she seems to be extrovert, but she is very introvert. She seems to be very open, but she isn't. She seems to be very calm, but she isn't. And so on. I could go for hours describing my daughter, or my companion, or my mother, and so on. From what you have seen, I didn't talk about her symptoms while she has fever. I didn't talk about the modalities of her pain while she has colitis. I didn't talk about her symptoms. I referred to her characteristics. There is a great difference between symptoms and characteristics. We have symptoms when we have a patient in acute illnesses. But we have a person, an individual, in chronic cases, as we say in homeopathy, or at the state of clinical health, as we say in allopathy. You see, most of the times, we know our beloved ones. We can talk for hours for them, and we don't need symptoms. We don't need anything that has to do with acute illness. We only need the personality traits, the character, the miasmatic characteristics and the essence. We need the psychological profile, because each time a patient comes to you as a homeopathic doctor, if every time you give belladonna for fever or sarsaparilla for urine infection, then you will never treat the patient. You will only, the individual, you will only treat the symptoms. You will only treat the acute disease, not the illness in general. That's why in classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy, we focus mostly on what matters. We focus on the miasmatic characteristics, not symptoms, the miasmatic characteristics during the state of clinical health. We focus on the psychological profile, that is the constitutional characteristics, and we focus also on the essence, on the main idea of the person. And supplementary, we focus also on the general physical characteristics, not symptoms, characteristics. There is a thing in homeopathy, the law of similarity. What do we mean by similarity? If we talk about symptoms, local symptoms, we have local similarity. If we talk about characteristics, we speak about deeper similarity. If we talk about psychological profiles, essence, and miasmatic synthesis, then we talk about full similarity. And then, if you prescribe the deeper constitutional miasmatic remedy, then you can treat not only the symptoms of the patient, not only the acute disease, but the chronic predispositions of the patient. Hahnemann, what Hahnemann did? He prescribed not for the symptom, not for the disease, but for the specific disease. He prescribed for this kind of pneumonia for this patient. We have to go on, and we have to proceed, as the classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy does, to the constitutional type, to the essence, to the psychological profile. Only then you can treat the chronic predispositions. Only then you will not treat these common codes of this baby, but you will treat the predisposition to have recurrent common codes. And you will not only treat the predispositions, you will lessen the miasmatic and constitutional influence of this person. And then you will have a better person. This is the one point. You have to follow the law of the whole, the law of similarity, and the law of hierarchy. The miasmatic characteristics are the top on the hierarchical line. The profile, the psychological profile and the essence are the second one. Now, if you do this, you will have no problem. Because in the same way you know your beloved ones, the 5, 10, 20 people around you, and you know them well, very well, even if you don't know their symptoms during an acute disease, but you know their essence. In the same way, the classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy focuses on the knowledge of the most deeper and chronic constitutional pictures from the miasmatic and psychological point of view. And you need no repertory, even no materia medica, no computer expert systems to prescribed on chronic occasions. Okay, in acute conditions, you give the acute remedy for some days, but then you have to give the deeper chronic constitutional remedy. Only then you have deep results. Now, someone could say, wait a minute. Kent, in his Materia Medica, describes about 220 remedies. In his repertory, 850. Nowadays, many repertories refer to 5,000 remedies. And in the future, so many animals, so many plants, so many minerals, we are going to have millions of homeopathic remedies. And my question is, are they homeopathic remedies? No. You have to discriminate. There is the plant Valeriana, one condition, one state. There is the proving picture of Valeriana. What's a proving picture? It's a toxicological effect. It's an artificial illness. Then you have the clinical picture of Valeriana or the constitutional picture of Valeriana. It's the same thing. It's a natural illness found in nature around us. And then you have another state, the constitution Valeriana, that energy state that affects a person and produces the constitutional picture of Valeriana. And last and finally, you have the homeopathic energy remedy Valeriana. Okay? These are 5 different states. Where am I going to? Not all proving pictures, not all artificial illnesses correspond to, with full similarity, not keynote prescribing, with full similarity with naturally existing natural illnesses. Therefore, the homeopathic remedies must be limited only to those remedies that can cure naturally existing illnesses with full similarity. And then, from my clinical experience, after 32 years of practice, I have developed the classical miasmatic constitutional homeopathy. And I tell you that we have to change things. What we call materia medica must include only true homeopathic constitutional remedies. And this, from my experience, those who have a complete, full picture with characteristic psychological picture are only limited to 50 or 60 remedies. And in acute conditions, in 100 ones. All the rest should be excluded from the materia medicas and should be included in another book that could be called Proving Pictures. A proving picture doesn't correspond always, and most of the times, to naturally existing illnesses. You see, this is nothing accidental. It is according to the law of transformation of quantity to quality. You have water. You have all these thousands and millions of substances in nature, and they are all created by the 400 elements of the periodic table of elements. And from these 400, only 200 are stable. And from these 200, only 30 or 40 are the frequent ones. You go then to the energies. There are so many kinds of energies, but they are all limited to one mother energy, to the vital force, to the cosmic energy, call it as you like. You have water, minus thousands degrees of Celsius, plus thousands degrees of Celsius. But this range of Celsius temperature is limited to 3 forms: ice, water, and vapor. You have the same in our vital force. Our vital force flows only in the meridians in a certain way. So the energy pathogenetic mechanisms responsible for natural illnesses are limited. They correspond to the phosphor energy pathogenetic mechanism, to the Valeriana energy pathogenetic mechanisms, to Nux vomica, and so on. So only these chronic, fully proved, naturally existing constitutional pictures are the ones that we should prescribe for. And from my experience, using only these 50 or 60 chronic constitutional remedies and the 100 acute constitutional remedies, most of which are also chronic ones, we have deep therapeutic results. Questions? 5 minutes. Okay, questions? Please. Anyone? Yes, please.
So, if I mean it precisely, you mean, you said the polycrests are the main range of the...
Yes, the polycrests.
Only for chronic disease.
Yes. There is a difference. Can any one of you tell me the essence and the psychological profile of Guayethia? Guayethia. You don't know it. I know it. And even if I don't know, so what? If it hasn't got a fully proved picture, if it hasn't got a characteristic, take Materia Medica of Ken, which is one of the best ones. You will find, in most cases, if we take apart sulfur, where Kent has identified the essence of sulfur and said sulfur is the dirty, ragged philosopher, the hot, perspiring, offensive, dirty, ragged philosopher. This is something that you can understand. This is something that you can build on it. In my constitutional Materia Medica, I describe each constitutional picture focusing on the miasmatic aspect. There is the psoric version of sulfur and the psychotic version of sulfur. And there is the essence of sulfur, and then it's his psychological profile. But in most remedies described in Kent, you just have a layout of symptoms. You don't have the characteristic profile, the psychological profile. If you know the profile and the essence and the miasm, then you can have the Materia Medica in your mind, and you can prescribe without any repertorization, without the need of Materia Medica in front of you, without the need of any computer expert system. We have to understand that homeopathy, classical homeopathy, can only go together with the holistic logic. And the human mind and heart works with pictures. You have the picture and the essence of your beloved ones in your mind. You need no reference to any book or to any computer expert system if you work on the holistic logic. But if you decide to go on and use the repertory not as a reminder, but as the main tool, then from my point of view, you will be led to false results or to partial similarity with remedies that when you give them, you've only got palliation. You don't have cure. There is a a great difference between palliation and treatment. When we talk in classical homeopathy about cure, we mean improvement of the acute symptoms, improvement of the general condition of the patient, improvement of his psychological condition, lessening of his chronic predispositions, and lessening of his miasmatic and constitutional influences. Any other question, please?
Thank you. And what about the cure laws? The cure laws?
The cure laws, what
cure laws. When you are talking about to cure, do you see a cure laws?
A cure laws, you mean that no success. The hearing laws. If you treat holistically, giving constitutional chronic remedies, then the cure goes according to Hering's law. It's a law of nature. If you respect nature and you act accordingly, then you are the beloved doctor of nature. Yes, please. We don't have time to come there. Just say it aloud.
Yeah. If Hahnemann hadn't been a German, let's say he had been an Asian or an African, don't you think the remedies, the polycrest, wouldn't be pulsatilla and belladonna, but some jungle plant or rice plant or what else? Don't you think it's not enough to have our polycrest?
From my experience, since I have people coming to me from various countries, because all countries have migrants nowadays, it doesn't change anything. The remedies that have been identified 200 years ago still are the great ones that we use and we have results. Thank you.
Thank you very much.